says he's planning to play in the Masters. Here's correspondent Mike Hempen.
Woods made the announcement Tuesday morning, saying as of now he intends to play in the tournament, which begins Thursday. It was a little more than a year ago when Woods nearly lost his leg in a car crash. Woods plans to play 9 more practice holes on Wednesday before making a final decision. And he thinks if he plays, he can win the tournament. Woods has won the Masters 5 times. He says the biggest challenge will be walking the 72 holes over a 4-day period, but he thinks he'll be up to it. I'm Mike Hempen.
A law enforcement official says a second suspect arrested in connection with the mass shooting that killed 6 people in Sacramento posted a live Facebook video of himself brandishing a handgun hours before the shooting. The official told the Associated Press investigators are trying to determine whether that weapon in the video was used in the shooting. More details at srnnews.com.
Let's get it started in here.
The viewpoints of Frank the Verse Thomas, his co-hosts and callers are not necessarily those of any particular religion or denomination. They may or may not be the views of Webcast One Live, the cleaning guy, the woman who brings in cookies, the parking valet, the staff of The View from the Pew, Jill King, Lucinda, the graphic design lady, Justin, Bob, Brian, Linda, or anyone else of sound mind or questionable mental capacity. Should you be offended, provoked, triggered, intimidated, shocked, confused, or inspired to think independently, call our studio lines at 515-442-KPOG and join the conversation. After all, it's your voice we want to hear. Now, live from the Jordan Crossing Studios, here's your host, Frank the Verse Thomas.
All right, so where's that parking valet guy? Oh, yeah, I stopped in here today and I said, hey, Mr. Parking Valet, could you swing open those double doors and park my car in the lobby? He said, well, I don't know about that. Might get in trouble with Brian. Brian might not like that. They say, well, Brian parks his skateboard there. Brian can park his skateboard there. I'd be able to park my car in there. Well, he wasn't sure. He'd have to check with Bri. So anyway, the parking valet parked me as close to the doors he could get. I hate to walk. Reminds me one time when we went to school out on church school out at Watrous, the school principal had a little, probably 60, maybe like a 67 VW Bug, Volkswagen, and some of the 8th graders, some of the big kids, and them kids were pretty good-sized boys. I mean, we had a couple of farm boys from down around Newton, I think. And they grabbed this guy's little Volkswagen Bug, and they got like 2 or 3 guys on the front bumper and 2 or 3 guys on the back bumper, and they kept moving that thing up and down, pushing it up, pulling it up, wheel hopping them tires off the ground until they moved that Bug over to the lobby of the school. I don't know where the teacher was. He had to go somewhere. I don't know. But when he got back, his car was inside the school lobby. So, yeah, Brian, he'd probably whine about that. He'd probably say, "Now there ain't no room for my skateboard. I need my ramp, and I could get some air, and I could do a could do a ramp and air, and I could do a flip. Probably fall and break his neck. No, Brian, he's pretty proficient on a skateboard now. What's it been, Brian? Since about 30 years since you've been on a skateboard? I mean, one time we got Brian's skateboard over in the Indian Ocean where what was that airplane that missed the carrier? Missed the carrier and ended up in the ocean, and we was all trying to figure out if China was trying to find it or not. And the U.S. is going like, well, we don't know where it's at. Well, you ought to know where it's at. Certainly, you don't want China to get a hold of our F-35s or Brian's skateboard. Now, that's just the rules. All right, now, for some reason, 32 years, Brian says, since he skated. Yeah, there you go. Okay. For some reason, let me check here. What's going on? I need to move my camera a bit here. I don't know how that got twisted around. 32 years. Oh, my goodness. Brian would be in traction for about a month if we let him anywhere near that skateboard. I think the best we're going to do is let him get his T-shirt out of mothball. Skate or die. Listen, there's no in-between skating and dying. That's all there is. Skate or die. What's the state? Is it New Hampshire? Live free or die? Live free or die. Let's see. That's the license plate on the official motto of New Hampshire. Live free or die. But the skaters in the 80s, they had a little different take on that. I mean, my nephew, he liked to play at those skateboards, and they went and got the PVC pipe, the 4-inch PVC pipe, and they nailed it or somehow attached it to a 4x4, and they done all kinds of goofy stuff and built ramps and all kinds of stuff to get some air. So I kind of grew up with some of my cousins and neighborhood kids. Now, I could skateboard in a straight line. And, of course, you always had to kick or go down the street and kick the rocks off to the side. Because there's one thing you didn't want to do when you was rolling down the road on a skateboard. You didn't want to hit a rock. Luckily, I never went for the boat ride, but one time when we was kids, we had the Stingray bicycles and all the ditch jumps, and they used to put the back in the day in our neighborhood anyway, we never had an asphalt road, so they would put down tar oil, and they would put pea gravel on it. And we used to get out in the road, and we would that's me at 18, we would do donuts, half donuts or donuts in the road, and we would throw this oil up the back of our T-shirts. So we would jump the ditches and the culverts and all the stuff. And I remember going through a ditch and hitting something. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was one of those. I don't even remember. I don't know if it was the water, the little thing that's in the ground for your water shut off that sometimes stick above the ground. I don't even remember what it was, but I was going through this ditch, and man, I hit something, and it threw me and flipped me over the handlebars and knocked the wind out of me, and I'm like, can't breathe. I watch some of these guys on these funniest videos on these skateboards, and it ain't pretty now. I see people trying to skate down handrails. You know, concrete steps going up to a state building, city building, and they got the metal handrails down the center of the concrete, and they'll jump up on that with their skateboard, and they will skate down that rail. And sometimes it don't end pretty. And I mean, it don't end pretty, if you know what I mean. They fall on their, let's just say, the inner part of their loin. They get some stuff that you don't want to hit. But anyway, so the parking valet, he just wasn't with it today. He had to check with Brian. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to send Brian on a vacation. Brian would probably say, yeah, send me on a vacation. Okay, Brian, we're going to send you out to Los Angeles. Live free or die. All right, so let me get over here to, well, actually, let me see if I can move this camera any. This other camera. There you go. That looks a little better. Let's get the camera a little more center of the shot. And let me get rid of the red line. There we are. All right, so let's see what else we got going here. Get over here to messages, and oh, there he is. There's Brian, man. He's jumping over something. Hey, Brian, he had a good mullet back in them days. Now, that Brian, he had. Now, I don't know what the deal is. It looks like he's got one white tennis shoe and one black tennis shoe. He's leaping over a ramp. Yeah, Brian, he's got some muscles back in them days now. And a nice mullet, too. Looks like he's got one white shoe and one black shoe. You know, back in the 80s, it was cool to have different color socks. And your tennis shoes, if you had white tennis shoes, you had different colored laces, purple laces, blue laces, all kinds of things like that. Unless this is a camera thing. It looks like he's got one white shoe and one black one. Converse, I would say. The old Wilt Chamberlain Converse tennis shoes. And really, that's the best thing that I found. LOL, love the mullet, right? Yeah, the mullet, it was good. It was looking good. But back in the day, when we used to play basketball out at our gymnasium, the Converse tennis shoe is about the shoe to have on that floor, because a lot of the other plastics and a lot of the other rubbers that people would play with on a wood floor didn't have very good grip. So the old, good job, yes, Converse, yes, Converse tennis shoes, those were the shoes. Back in the day, that was the official Wilt Chamberlain basketball sneaker. All right, so there you go, Converse tennis shoes. Okay, let's get this. This is Joshua 1:8. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you might be careful to do, well, how many things? Some of the things? a partial list of the things. No, it says that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Keep the book of the law on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Oh, by the way, live free or die is the official motto of the U.S. state of New Hampshire, adopted by the state in 1945. Had a burp or something caught in my throat, and I couldn't talk there for a second. That bubble. You got a bubble coming up your esophagus, and it gets caught about kind of in between your throat and your esophagus, and you just like can't talk for a second. All right. Here's one. This is from the New Hampshire tour guide. Live free or die. What's it mean? I don't know. I think there's some things in the world that's kind of self-explanatory, and I think that would be one of them. Live free or die. Don't think it gets any more plain than that. Let's see. I'm going to live free or I'm going to die. No. I'm going to skate or I'm going to die. All right. So I got my show over on KPOG again, plus got it broadcasting on my page. I got one Power of God daily study done. I've got to get it edited. All right, so let's go to Sabbath SQL for today, and today is April the 5th. Hiding before God. Now, how in the world do you hide before God? Is there any place on this earth you could go? Is there anywhere in this universe you could go and hide from God? There's not a place deep enough. There's not a place high enough to hide from God. But we're going to find out why hiding before God probably isn't the optimum thing to do. This is April the 5th, recorded on March the 8th. Here we go.
And now it's time for the Power of God Daily Studies, originating from KPOG, your sister station in Central Iowa. Let us come together and rightly divide the Word of God in today's Power of God Daily Studies, an in-depth study of God's Word, presented by Frank Thomas.
Good day. It is Frank Thomas with our Power of God Daily Studies for Tuesday, April the 5th. Hiding before God. We're going to read Genesis 3, 7 to 13. And the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed together fig leaves and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves in the presence of the Lord amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord called unto Adam and said, Where art thou? And Adam said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you not to? The man said, the woman that thou gavest me, she gave to me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord God said to the woman, what is this you've done? And the woman said, well, it's the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. All right, so there's all kinds of ways and directions I could go with this. I would start by saying that, do you think God really was in question to where they were hiding? And why did Adam answer the way he answered? He was afraid. Isn't that what always happens when we're guilty of something? We're afraid. And who told you were naked? They must have discovered that all on their own. But here is the main point, and I would guess you would have to have read Why Sin Was Permitted. Read the account by Ellen White to fully understand what I'm about to say. That would be in Patriarchs and Prophets and The Great Controversy. But Eve was by herself. And Adam caught up later. He wasn't standing in the weeds as a voyeur or watching his wife disobey God. And he knew what had happened as soon as he came on the scene. He could see the evidence. But he started to reason with himself that he couldn't bear the thought of living this life without her. So rather than to live without her, he reasoned that he would die with her. But notice about how long it took him to take his big, giant hands and grab the weaker vessel, Eve, by the nape of the neck and toss her under the bus to get rolled over by both axles. Well, it's this woman you gave me. Then God says to the woman, well, what's this you've done? The woman said, well, it's the serpent beguiled me. What'd you put him here for? If God would have asked the serpent would have said, hey, it's this angel Lucifer you created. Why did you create him? And if God would have turned to Lucifer, Lucifer would have had the cat that ate the canary grin on his face, looking at God and saying, hey, don't look at me, buddy. You created me to malfunction. Of course, that's a shot over the bow of those who believe that somehow it's God's fault for sin, that he predestined the teams in advance. He chose Judas to betray him. He chose Lucifer to malfunction. He chose Cain to kill Abel. Why did Adam and Eve feel the need to hide before God? Why did God ask the question, where are you? How did Adam and Eve seek to justify their behavior? By playing dumb, I guess. After they sinned, Adam and Eve felt naked because they lost their garments of glory, which reflected God's presence. We're going to take a look at Psalms 8:5. For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and have crowned him with glory and honor. Psalms 104, 1-2. Bless the Lord, O my soul, O my God. You art very great. You art clothed with honor and majesty. Who covered thyself with light as a garment, who stretched out the heavens like a curtain. The image of God has been reflected by sin. The verb make in the phrase, they made themselves coverings, in Genesis 3:7, was so far applied only to God the Creator. In Genesis 1:7, 16, and 25. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters that were above the firmament, and it was so. Verse 16, and God made two great lights. The greater light was to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And verse 25, and God made the beast of the earth after his kind, the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was all good. Nothing bad here. It is as if they replaced the Creator as they attempted to cover their sin, an act that Paul denounces as righteousness by works, Galatians 2:16. Knowing that man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ, even we have believed in Jesus, that we might be justified by the faith of Christ, and not by the works of the law, for by the works of the law no flesh shall be justified. When God approaches, he asks them the rhetorical question, where are you? Genesis 3:9. The same kind of question that God will ask of Cain in Genesis 4:9. And the Lord said to Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Of course, God knew the answers to the questions. His questions were asked for the benefit of the guilty, to help them realize what they had done, and yet at the same time to lead them to repentance and salvation. From the moment humans sinned, the Lord was working for their salvation and their redemption. In fact, the whole scenario reflects the idea of investigative judgment, which begins with the judge who interrogates the culprit. Genesis 3:9. And the Lord called unto Adam and said unto him, where are you? Of course, in order to prepare him for sentence in Genesis 3:14-19. And the Lord said to the serpent, because you have done this, you cursed above all the cattle, above every beast of the field, upon their belly thou shalt go, and dust thou shalt eat all the days of their life. And I'll put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over thee. And to Adam he said, because you've hearkened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of, cursed to the ground for thy sake, in sorrow you shall eat of it all days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to thee, and you shall eat of the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, from dust thou art dust, and dust thou shalt return. But he does it also to prompt repentance, which will ultimately lead to salvation in Genesis 3:15. I'll put enmity between you and the woman. So basically between God's church and Satan. This is a motif we have seen all through the Bible. At first, as is so common with sinners, Adam and Eve both try to evade the charge, seeking to blame others, shifting the blame, passing the buck. To God's question, Adam responds, it was the woman he'd give him. Genesis 3:12. She led him to do it. It was her fault, and implied it was God's as well, not his. Eve responds that it was the serpent who deceived her. The Hebrew word nasha, to deceive in Genesis 3:13 means to give people false hopes and make them believe that they're doing the right thing. 2 Kings 19:10. Thus ye shall speak to Hezekiah the king of Judah, saying, let not thy God in whom thou trust deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Isaiah 37:10. Thus ye shall speak to Hezekiah the king of Judah, saying, let not this God in whom you trust deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. And Jeremiah 49:16, the terribleness hath deceived thee in the pride of thine heart. O you that dwell in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, though you should make thy nest as high as an eagle, I will bring you down from there, says the Lord. Adam blames the woman blames the serpent would have blamed Satan, and Satan would have blamed God. Adam blamed the woman, saying that she had given him the fruit. There's some truth to that. Eve blames the serpent, saying he deceived her. There's some truth there too. But in the end, all parties were guilty. The only one innocent in the whole thing is Christ. And it gets blamed all on him. Trying to blame someone else for what they've done, why is it so easy for us to fall into the same trap? Because no one wants to take responsibility. You know, it's a responsible free world. Alcoholism is a disease. Well, who would not feel sorry for someone who has a disease? Addiction's a disease. It's taking away the need for personal responsibility. It's natural human instinct. Pass the buck. Shift the blame. Who was it? Harry Truman or Eisenhower? I don't remember which of them. Says the buck stops here. I think it was one of those two. Dwight D. Eisenhower or Harry Truman. Memory seems to think it was Truman. But how many people will take up their stand and take full responsibility for what they've done? Not many. God took responsibility for all our stuff that he didn't do. Makes us look kind of weak and pathetic. So this is Frank Thomas with our Power of God Daily Studies for today. If you would like to email the show, send us a comment, a question, a criticism. Better yet, drop us a line and let us know you're listening. kpogradio@gmail.com. And join us here again tomorrow, Wednesday, April the 6th.
Thank you, Frank. And thanks for joining us today for the Power of God Daily Study. We pray that this study enriches your day and draws you closer to our Savior. Join us each and every day for the Power of God Daily Study.
All right, I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of something. Well, apparently it's not going to let me get into that article. Edward Duncan Pyle usually does some pretty good articles, but for some reason it's trying to get me to sign up for subscribe today. Don't want to subscribe today. All right. Aggravating me. It's aggravating me. Brian, come and straighten this thing up. It's aggravating me. Everyday Christians living our religion every day. All right. I was just looking up a few stories here to share with you. All right, let's Chickie. Let's read the chickie baby story. Birds are nesting, laying eggs much earlier than in the past. Study of museum's egg collection finds major shift in bird behavior. Many species of birds are now building nests and laying eggs at a time of year that their counterparts from a century ago would have considered outrageously early. Around a third of the birds in the upper Midwest region are now laying their eggs an average of 25 days earlier than they did in the past, according to a new study published in the Journal of Animal Ecology. Researchers examined a collection of more than 50,000 eggs, most of them collected before 1920, held in Chicago's Field Museum, which I've been there. The collection includes extensive information on dates and observations of bird behavior. Researchers say, of course, there's a strong correlation between nesting dates and racism. Wow, I didn't know there was a cause and effect there. No, I jest. It's either racism or global warming. Researchers say there's strong correlation between the change in nesting dates and rising carbon dioxide. It was shocking to find this, says study lead author John Bates, curator of birds at the Field Museum. What we can see is clearly pointing in the direction climate change is having a significant effect on the behavior of birds. It's another piece of the puzzle we're trying to figure out in terms of impacts. Researchers found that there was a bigger shift in egg-laying dates for migratory species than year-round residents. Other studies have found that many bird and insect populations are in steep decline. Bates says spring weather is becoming more volatile, and it's taking a toll on bird populations. If you're a bird and you nest earlier, you put yourself at risk of these cold snaps that can arrive in the spring, which then affects the plants and the insects. So, what? Just means birds trying to nest in my garage and crap on my car. All right, let me... Okay. So what? All right. It's got to be racism. Darwin's stolen notebooks turn up in a gift bag. Darwin's stolen notebooks turn up in a gift bag. Happy Easter reads a note signed by X. Oh, no! X marks the spot. Charles Darwin's notebooks, thought to have been stolen from Cambridge University Library nearly 22 years ago, have turned up in a bright pink gift bag with a note reading Happy Easter. The package was discovered March 9th outside the librarian's office in a public area not covered by security cameras, per the AP. Inside were Darwin's 2 leather-bound notebooks worth millions of dollars wrapped in cling film inside their archive box. The library's last record of the books came from an internal request that they be moved to a temporary building during construction work in 2000. They were discovered missing 2 months later, though the public was only notified in 2020. So they didn't tell anybody for 20 years. Librarian Dr. Jessica Gardner, who feared she would never see the postcard-sized books ever again, described her sense of relief as profound and almost impossible to adequately express, per the BBC. They're some of the most remarkable documents in the whole history of science. They're some of the most remarkable garbage in all the history of cesspools. That's going to be my comment. I am relieved. Some of the most remarkable garbage in the history of cesspools. That's going to get her going. That'll stir the pot just a little bit. Postamundo. All right, so Darwin, he's got big relief going on. Jim Secord. Okay. Why? I don't know why it does it, and that aggravating. See if I can find it again. I think it was a science story. I think. I don't know why it plays a video all on its own accord. Jim Secord, a professor of history and philosophy at the Science at Cambridge, told the outlet they date back to the 1830s after Darwin returned to England and featured his famous Tree of Life sketch. Every page that should be there is there, said Gardner, who described the books in remarkably good condition. They've clearly been looked after with care wherever they have been. Cambridgeshire police are very interested in that question. Why? They got him back. Leave well enough alone. Our investigation remains open, and we're following up some lines of inquiry, according to the statement. We also renew our appeal for anyone with information about the case to contact us, Gardner said. Police were given security footage from the library, which has cameras monitoring the front and the back of the building, the vaults, the specialist reading rooms, per BBC. Officers will presumably be searching for anyone with a pink gift bag around March 9th. The note was only signed with an X. Meanwhile, the notebooks are being held in a secure room ahead of their public display as part of the Darwin in Conversation exhibit in July. Darwin in the Cesspool exhibit in July. You remember that? P. Christ. You remember that National Endowment of the Arts. It was called I can't say the real word, but for Christian radio purposes, the P. Christ. The P. Christ is a 1987 photograph of American artist and photographer Andre Serrano. It depicts a small plastic crucifix submerged in the artist's own urn. Well, we don't believe in the Seventh-day Adventist Church of having graven images to start with, so the work generated a large amount of controversy based on the assertion it was blasphemous. Serrano himself said of the controversy, I had no idea the P. Christ would get the attention. No, I didn't have any idea. I just didn't have any idea that sinking a Quran in urine would cause any problem. Yeah. That's about brain dead. Serrano said of the controversy, I had no idea the P. Christ would get the attention it did, since I meant neither blasphemy nor offense by it. I've been a Catholic all my life, so I'm a follower of Christ. Where are we at? Frank, how's the new book read coming? I accept. I'm verbose. Have a great day. All right. That's Justin. Good old Justin. Well, Justin, at least my Power of God Audacity didn't move today again. So that's a positive. Let me see if I can do this. Where are we at? What was the story I was looking at? Huh. What was the story? I must have closed it. Oh, here, I had to because it was playing a video on me. In honor of Andreas Serrano's All right, so that'll get her going too. That's I'm Relieved, some of the most remarkable garbage in history of cesspools. And in honor of Andreas Serrano's P. Christ, maybe we could do a P. Darwin. That'll get her going. Okay, so I had to close that because for some reason these things are wanting to play videos on me. Or play audios of videos on me, and I don't know why. West's water crisis may be worse than you think. We're looking down the barrel of a loaded gun, says one expert. Why don't you look down the real barrel of a loaded gun? The snowpack in the Sierra Nevada mountains, which provides 30% of California's fresh water, is at the lowest level in 7 years, a devastating sign of drought conditions to come. The end of winter snowpack measurement, which comes from measurements at more than 265. Well, what do they want? Do they want it to equal the? Oh, I can't think of the Donner Party. Let's see if I can find how much snow. See if I can find that. How much snow did the Donner Party get? The winner of, that's 1951 and 52 dumped 65 feet of snow on the Donner Summit, and snowpack reached 26 feet deep, the greatest depth ever recorded there for 3 days. When the skies finally cleared November the 13th, the snow was about 10 feet deep above 7,000 feet. Although fair weather during the 2 weeks, the peak snow depth was probably somewhere between 15 to 20 feet deep at Donner Lake. But apparently, 1951 and 52 dumped nearly 65 feet of snow on Donner Summit, the greatest depth ever recorded there. This will get her going. Maybe the Donner Party would enjoy that revelation. All right. So it's the first 3 months of the year mark the driest January to March period by a huge margin in 101-year records of 3 observing stations. So we're in bad trouble. We're looking down the barrel of a gun here. Why don't they learn how to desalinate water out the ocean? Then all their water problems go away. They're looking down the barrel of a gun. Chris Rock's brother, here's what should happen to Will Smith. Kenny Rock says Smith's Oscar should be taken away, among other things. As far as Chris Rock's brother is concerned, the Academy Award Will Smith won shortly after slapping Rock on stage should be revoked, and Smith should be banned from attending future ceremonies. I might have looked at it differently had he initially apologized when he got on stage and cried and accepted the award, but he didn't. Right there it tells me that it is something else, Kenny says. See, he's worried that his Oscar's going to get taken away. Smith did eventually apologize to Rock and his family in a public statement, but Kenny Rock will have none of that. I don't accept it because I don't think it was genuine, he says. I think his publicist and the people who work under him probably advised him to do that. Another brother, Tony Rock, who's a comedian like Chris, had also previously said he did not accept the apology and later called Smith out during a stand-up. There's 10 Rock brothers. Wow. Guess the Rock parents were busy, huh? Chris Rock. He's parents is Rosalie and Julius Rock. Boy, I guess they was busy now. Tony, Andy, Jordan, Andre, Kenny, Charles, Brian. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Chris is 8. He's 57 years old. Huh. That's interesting. Trending. So there's Brian, Charles, Kenny, Andre, Jordan, Andy, and Tony. Wonder if some of them is dead. Parents Rosalie. She's 77. And Julius Rock is a truck driver. Huh. Who would have known? Julius apparently died in 1988. Huh. Julius Rock is played by Terry Crews. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Maybe there was a story of all these kids. Maybe he's got some brothers who were passed away. Pretty, guess I didn't know he had 10 brothers. Well, that's interesting. Let me see where we find out. Rock. Julius Rock Sr. I think he's dead. Let me check it. Let me check it. Julius Rock. Let me look. Oh, here. I'll just look it up here. Julius Rock. Oh, that's Chris Rock. Okay, I don't want that. Let's do... Who's Chris Rock's dad? Yeah, let's do that. Well, he died 1988. Okay, children, Chris, Kenny, and Andre, Brian, Charles, Andy, Jordan, and Tony. Okay, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, who's the other two? He's a truck driver. Died. They don't know what year they was married. Married question mark. But they were married when the guy died. They were married from question mark year to 1988. Rosalie. Where's Rosalie? All right. Well, that's cool. Well, you could have fooled me that he had all them brothers. And some of them is a comedian. Well, I'm guessing maybe Will Smith ain't going to want to mess around with the Rock family. They might have some pretty bad butt brothers now. Want to knock old Will Smith out. Let's see. Chris Rock brothers. Oh, and sisters. He's got sisters too, apparently. I think. Where's the family? All right. Yeah, I don't know. They don't look like the baddest bunch around, but I bet there's some of them that could take care of old Will Smith. There's one that looks like he could probably handle old Will. Tony. So that's the one apparently that isn't buying what Smith is. Chris Rock and his 7 siblings. How many brothers does Chris Rock have? All about his family, and Tony Rock tears into Will Smith over Oscar slap. Yeah, Tony, he looks like one that, I don't know. Tony, he looked like one you don't want to mess with. And those guys probably pounded the crap out of each other when they were young, so. Why did it say he's got 10 brothers? Now I'm confused. All right. I'm confused now. Okay. Oh. There are 10 Rock brothers. You about to see all of us, he said per BET TV. Chris Rock is the eldest of 7 siblings, also a half-brother who died in 2006. All right, so there's 8. That still don't make 10. Okay, well, Kenny Rock. Kenny. All right, one more time. I'm going to look at this. Julius Rock. All right, Chris, Kenny, Andre, Brian, Charles, Andy, Jordan, and Tony. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, there's 8 brothers and a half-brother who died. Parents, Alan Rock. Oh, well. Oh, well, that's the dad, Julius Rock, Alan Rock. I don't know. I'm confused. Of course, it don't take much to confuse me. And Chris Rock is 57 years old. Now it's got Julius Rock. He died from peptic ulcer disease in 1988. Now this is showing him dying in 1989. If this is the same guy. Uncle of Sherrod Small, spouse Rose Rock. Well, Rosalie, 7 children. Huh. I don't know. You got me. All right. You learn something every day. Tony, who's a comedian like Chris, said he did not accept the apology and later called out Smith during a stand-up. 6-page reports there's 10 Rock brothers, and you about to see all of us. You're about to see all of us. Well, half brother's dead. Huh. All right. Martha Stewart, lover of pets, posts a jarring update. Her dogs killed one of her cats. She reveals in a post praise for its candor. So, man, is PETA going to have fun with that one? A new social post from Martha Stewart's generating attention, but it has nothing to do with the kitchen. Instead, Martha shared the rather startling news that her 4 dogs killed one of her cats. She delivered the Why did she say anything? She delivered the update to fans via Instagram, where she shared an image of 3 men digging a grave for the animal with the caption, "Burying the beautiful and unusual Princess Peony." The 4 dogs mistook her for an interloper and killed her defenseless little self. I don't think that's why the dogs killed her. I think there's natural enmity between cats and dogs now. Kind of a butt ugly cat. This was a death for the poor cat. Hope the other one will be protected better. Love dogs, but chows make me nervous. Okay, it's got one of them, not even a cute cat face. It's got one of them ugly cat faces. Okay. Let me close that. Kanye is reportedly getting help. Rapper pulls out of Coachella without stating a reason. Kanye, has pulled out of Coachella amid reports he's getting help. The rapper, formerly known as Kanye West, was to have headlined both weekends at the festival, scheduled April 15 to 17 and April 22 to 24 in Indio, California. He will no longer appear on April 17 and April 24 as planned, says LA Times, reports TMZ, nor will his guest Travis Scott, whose appearance would have marked the rapper's first large-capacity performance since November Astroworld Festival in Houston, where 10 people died in a crowd crush, per The Guardian. Who performed Kanye, I assume it's Ye, could be Ye, who performed at Coachella in 2011 and 19, and I guess this is a new one on me because I've never heard of Coachella. Let me see what kind of a big deal it is. Is there a Coachella? See if I can find it. It's Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. The Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival is an annual music and art festival held in the Empire Polo Club in Indio, California. The Coachella Valley in the Colorado Desert. It was co-founded by Paul Tillett and Ricky Van Satin in 1999 and is organized by Golden Voice, a subsidiary of AEG Presents. Its attendance is around 250,000. It's a 2-day total. Genre is rock, pop, indie, hip-hop, electronic, dance music. So it looks like they're trying to be some hippy-dippy yippies. Looks like a lot of got a lot of girls running around with halter tops and bell-bottom pants on, trying to look like the 70s. Huh. I lived it. I went to Coachella alone. Let me see. I mean, I guess, it ain't Woodstock. Let's put it that way. It ain't Woodstock for sure. But the girls, you wear hats, sunglasses, I don't know, kind of tie-dye, hip huggers, camo, hats. There's a premium on hats. If you showed up looking like Stevie Nicks, you'd be in vogue. You wear Converse tennis shoes, army boots for women, shorts. It looks like a lot of women. Looks like a lot of women show up to this deal. Coachella. They got a big the things we heard people say, including a deep discussion about Beyonce and Pooh. Okay. Five cool things to check out at the festival. I've never heard of it. Bathroom humor, porta potties. I'm gonna have to tell you this kind of in Christian. I'm gonna have to give you the Christian version of this. This is Bayroom, Beyonce, so it's bathroom humor. It's part of a conversation about porta potties. Do you think Beyonce's poo has a golden sheen to it? I don't know. I just know it don't smell. If that gets you, if that gets you uptight as a Christian, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's kind of funny. It's pretty famous. What song is this? A girl asked her friend. As Portugal, the man played Hey Jude. Leaving the Sahara tent. There's no point to being nice guy here. You'll be left in the dust. All right. Trying to figure out what you want to see here. If you got flower power, flower pants, you want to wear kind of jewelry on your forehead, kind of stick on. Hey, Paul, it's been a few years since high school. Someone serendipitous meeting old friends before one gave the other his security pat down, older man to girl. So how'd you get the nail in the foot? I looked at the bottom, and there's a frickin' railroad spike there. Huh. Trying to figure out what you want to see there. There's 5 things that you might want to see. Celebrities. Oh, well, maybe I got to click it. The Central Market, foodies and people like one-stop shopping. Central Market has more than 15 restaurants from Los Angeles to New York City, all under one huge shaded tent. There's lots of seating so you can stay shaded and cool while eating. The only negative thing is hard to try to decide what you want to eat. Pork bellies from Chego, fried chicken, sandwiches, and slushies from Fuki, dumplings from MSG, fried avocado tacos. Now, that don't sound bad. Hey, Brian, how about a fried avocado taco? From Seabirds, Japanese inspired hot dogs from Sumo Dogs, cereal milk soft serve from Milk Bar, and there's Kombucha Bar, complete with hipster wearing suspenders and a lot of vegan and vegetarian options. So you got a lot of food to eat, probably a lot of yuppie vegan food. They got a bigger Sahara tent. Cool artwork. A centralized Antarctic tent. What's the Antarctic thing? It's not only a great place to relax and sit down in comfy seats, but it's also air conditioned. Oh, well, now hold on, man. That takes fossil fuel now, people. You just can't go around air conditioning your festival. There's an ice cream parlor. There's nothing more satisfying than delicious ice cream on a hot afternoon. If you're a vegan, no worries, because the ice cream shop has something from everyone. Menu includes root beer floats, sundaes, Van Leeuwen classic flavors like vanilla, mint chip, honeycomb chocolate, peanut butter, marshmallow crunch. Vegan flavors include matcha green tea, dark chocolate, cookies and cream, caramel swirl, planet Earth, and salted caramel. Hey, give me a double planet Earth. Oh, man, that's that. I'd have to go just to order, and I don't even know what I'd want to eat it, but I just want to say, hey, give me a double planet Earth. The new yellow and pink pop-up shop looks like Easter. It's also air-conditioned, has a row of chairs set up so you can grab your ice cream and sit inside the air condition while you look out at the grounds and plan your next move. Somebody's pulling up in a big pickup truck. Who's this? It's a big pickup truck. I don't know who the pickup truck belongs to. All right. Okay, let's see if she's got a key. Yeah, she's got a key. That's Julie Beard. Julie Beard! Julie, 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 do you love me? Julie, 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 do you care? Come on, Julie! You care at all? I'm having a good time today, Julie. I'm talking about the festival. You love this festival now. Okay. All right. Kanye's getting help. So if nothing else, I'm having a good time. All right, so I'm going to wrap up with this story here in a second. Am I after 5 o'clock? I mean, it's 5:22. I blew past the break. Okay. All right, let me get this wrapped up quickly. Billie Eilish apologized to Scott over a dish she claimed never happened. However, reports suggest this isn't the reason behind his withdrawal. According to the 6-page sources, Ye told Kim Kardashian that he was going to go away to get help. Following weeks of concerning behavior, including apparent online harassment, which got him temporarily suspended from Instagram and banned from Sunday's Grammys, His Instagram account where the abuse was posted has been wiped. It's unclear if the petition demanding Ye's removal from one of the largest music festivals in North America played any role in his decision to withdraw from Coachella. We've watched Kanye harass, manipulate, and hurt Kim, her boyfriend Pete Davidson, and others for over a year now. Reads the Change.org petition signed by almost 50,000 people. With only days left to find a new headliner, Coachella organizers reportedly are trying to secure the weekend as Ye's replacement. 6-page notes. Other headliners, in addition to Alish, are Harry Styles and Swedish House Mafia. Boy, you could have knocked me over with a feather. On Bruce Willis, a health line seems to have been crossed. Joe Farello writes for The Hill that Hollywood needs to do better after the reveal of the actor's aphasia. Over the past couple of years, Bruce Willis has acted in more than a dozen films. It's a fact that in wake of the family disclosure of his aphasia, a brain condition that can lead to language and communication issues, has many now wondering what exactly was going on with Willis during the time, and if people around him may have exploited that. So, were they abusing the guy to make him work so they could have money? Was the guy being abused to keep the money train rolling? Well, we wouldn't put it past him. All right, so that's that. All right, let me see what this is. Oh, unless I close something. All right, let's go to my SRN news break, and I'll be back after the news.
KPOG 102.9 FM, Grimes.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the United Nations today about his country's plight. Speaking through an interpreter, Zelensky says the atrocities being committed by the Russian military against his country's citizenry are sickening.
They were killed in their apartments, houses, blowing up grenades. The civilians were crushed by tanks while sitting in their cars in the middle of the road, just for their pleasure.
The images, particularly from the town of Bucha, stirred global revulsion and led to demands for tougher sanctions and war crime prosecutions against Russia. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy hauled in $31.5 million in campaign funding during the first quarter of the year, breaking his own record he set last year at nearly $27 million in the first quarter of 2021.
McCarthy announced that he had raised a total of $104 million ahead of the upcoming midterm elections, touting the accumulating GOP war chest as evidence of voter enthusiasm. McCarthy says he's transferred a total of $37 million to the National Republican Congressional Committee for their campaign efforts across the country as Republicans tried to take back the House after losing it to Democrats in 2018. In 2020, Republicans narrowed the Democrats' House majority and are expected to make further gains in the midterms, with President Biden's public opinion rating at record lows and inflation still soaring. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Violent storms killed one person in Texas on Tuesday as hail pelted communities and high winds knocked trees into power poles elsewhere in the south. Authorities issued a flurry of tornado warnings at the start of what could be 2 days of violent weather in the region. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 280 points, the Nasdaq dropped 328, the S&P lower by 57. Oil dropped $1.32 to $101.96 a barrel on the New York Mercantile Exchange. This is SRN News. Americans ponder the source of morality.
Specifically, does a person have to be religious in order to live a moral life? Only about 1/3 of respondents to the Marist Deseret News poll said yes. The other 2/3 do not believe religion is a requirement for morality. Amongst Christians, the numbers were a little different, but only 45% of them think a moral life cannot be lived by someone who rejects the faith. As you might expect, the vast majority of non-practicing Americans say religion is not required. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
In an unusual convergence, the Muslim month of Ramadan will encompass all of April this year, which also contains Easter and Passover. This has raised concerns among some security officials, given the fact that there's often an uptick in Muslim terrorist attacks during Ramadan. Easter and Passover have been targeted in the past, and there are those who fear the convergence of Ramadan in the same month could make things worse. This is SRN News. Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
He liked Twitter so much he bought the company. Now he's taking a seat on the board of directors.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk, the social media platform's largest shareholder, will join Twitter's board after disclosing that he's taken a 9% stake in the company. In a regulatory filing, Twitter Incorporated reports entering into an agreement with Musk that will give the billionaire a seat on its board, with the term expiring at its 2024 annual shareholders meeting. Rich Thomason reporting.
Longtime Starbucks leader Howard Schultz has returned to the company as interim CEO. Among his first actions, suspending Starbucks' $20 million share buyback program to invest instead more of those profits in employees and stores. Another disappointing session on Wall Street for investors. The Dow down by 280 points, the Nasdaq down 328. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew.
More details at srnnews.com. I'm Keith Peters.
Oh. So I'm reading a We don't know. This is Jim Brewer. We don't know anything around. Let me get back here. Okay, where are we at? Well, let me get back here. Okay, well, give me start. If anything, we don't know anything what's around the corner. You make all the plans you want. You got to be the CEO. This is a Jim Brewer thing. Your jobs are shut down. We have no clue how quick life just goes, which made me crazy how many people they would put on the screen are getting offended. Everyone's offended. I'm offended by this, and I'm offended by that. I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about that. And if you're that person, listen, man. Life is offensive, okay? My wife's been battling cancer for 12 years. From the food she gets poisoned with, that they feed us, that's offensive. We can't see the elderly because we may kill them, even though they got 6 days to live. Stay behind the glass. I feel much better with no human contact. Thank you, Dr. Fauci and CDC and fear. Thank you. I bet she'd rather have a hug than do this the rest of her life. Wave. You don't get to pick and choose offensive, he says. Last week, 2 Marines, hand to God came. There's no knees blown off over there. Came in wheelchairs, followed me around. We laughed. They told their story to me. That's offensive, but there's people literally walking around. Here's the thing about being offended. Listen, if you're easily offended, do yourself a favor. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for you. It means your backside gets tight. It does. And if science is God, science would tell you that's not good for your physical being. It means you're always scrunched up your backside. Can't work right. You just can't wait to go. Can't wait to talk about their subjects with my facts. So it's like, Grandma, see ya. I'd like to hug you, Grandma, but goodbye. My friend shared this. Can't even. So anyway, my friend sent this to me. Jim Brewer, the old Saturday Night Live guy. All right. So my friend Kevin sent that to me. It's pretty funny. He bought 800 castor beans, told the FBI it was a goof. Except it wasn't, and this guy, Ali Sayem, has been sentenced to obstructing justice. A 37-year-old man with a PhD in biomedical engineering from Duke told law enforcement agents in Massachusetts he meant to buy 1 packet of castor beans in June 2015, not 100. He also wanted the beans in order to do some decorative planning around his apartment. Both were lies, say officials. On Thursday, he was sentenced to 3 years of probation, 6 months to be served in home confinement, and a fine of $5,500. The case is drawing attention because the deadly toxin ricin is made from the castor beans. In court, the director of advanced research at a biotech firm told a judge Breaking Bad inspired him to make the purchase. Who would have known? Castor beans. Trying to make ricin. And ricin will kill you. He was scared and overwhelmed, which led to my poor choice of not telling the truth. But Sam thought the beans would make a good conversation piece and were something he could toy around with. Interesting. Now, here's a story that I just think would warm the cockles of your heart. If you want to move to San Francisco, San Francisco apartment has a steep requirement. Renters must pay at least $432,000 a year. Oh, no, they must make It's not about paying, it's about making. You got to make $432,000 a year. It's just not expensive to own a home in Frisco. It's expensive to rent, and in it, the most expensive city in the nation to do so. The San Francisco Chronicle has reported the average monthly price for a one-bedroom place clocked in at $2,700 last summer, meaning the exorbitant prices are bigger. Lux apartments aren't unusual. A new one on Craigslist, however, caught the attention of a San Francisco Gate for a remarkable reason. Prospective tenants must earn at least $432K to be in the running. To be clear, it's a nice place, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath penthouse in the Mission Bay district with plenty of nice touches. Rents $12,000 a month. And under requirements for future renters is that they make 3 times the annual rent, thus $432,000 in total. To which I write, is that all? Let me edit that. Nancy Pelosi will give you a loan let me go backwards there. All right, save the edit. All right, so only $432,000. All right, so here's a couple of Christian news stories. We got 15 minutes to go. Three prayers for our world. Denzel Washington spoke at Pastor T.D. Jakes' International Leadership Summit last Saturday, where he explained his reaction when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Academy Awards. Washington went immediately to speak with Smith, the decision he explained to the group. I don't know all the ins and outs of the situation, but I only know the solution was prayer, the way I saw it, the way I see it. And Denzel, he's quite the religious guy now. In other headlines, North Carolina defeated Duke last Saturday in what's being called a game for the ages and will play Kansas in tonight's NCAA men's basketball champ, which Kansas won apparently last night, so this must be a day late. By contrast, Atlantic caught my eye. Hubert Davis, the first-year coach introduced in April, told a conference that faith is the most important thing to me. My faith and foundation is firmly in my relationship with Jesus. It just is. By contrast, the Atlantic headline caught my eye. Why people are acting so weird. The writer documents a variety of ways people are acting more rude and violent and points to heightened stress, the increased use of alcohol and drugs, and the isolation enforced by the pandemic. Today's news offers tragic examples. At least 6 people were killed and at least 12 were wounded in a shooting yesterday morning in Sacramento, California. A man was shot to death in Atlanta and 1 person was killed. At least 11 people were hospitalized Saturday night after a shooting incident at a concert in Dallas. In light of all the bad news, how Americans are doing. How are Americans doing? In a recent Gallup poll, only 17% of respondents say they were satisfied with the direction of the country. However, 85% were satisfied with their own lives. This disparity highlights the point I want to make today. Denzel and Hubert Davis are Christians who act on faith when the opportunity arises. By contrast, the perennial temptation in Western culture is to keep our personal lives and our public lives separate. You know, don't talk about your private life, that faith stuff. You're a man of faith or you aren't. The temptation extends not only to our actions, but to our intercession. Compassion fatigue is a real challenge in these hard days. Example, Ukrainian President Zelensky appeared on screen last night at the Grammy Awards. His speech began the war. what's more opposite than music? In reference to the music industry's biggest night, our musicians wear body armor instead of tuxedos. They sing to the wounded in hospitals. When you see the daily reports about ongoing tragedy in Ukraine, are you praying with the same passion you did a month ago? Here's another example. Ramadan began Friday. There are more than 2 million Muslims in the world, each of whom rejects the divinity of Jesus and therefore without true hope of eternal life. Does that fact weigh on your heart today? By contrast, our Father loves each of us as if there was only one, Muslims included, and he's working in the Muslim world in ways we've not seen in Islamic history. One sheikh leads other sheiks to Christ. My friend Tom Doyle has been ministering in the Middle East for years. His marvelous book, Dreams and Visions, is Jesus Awakening the Muslim World, tells a story after story of ways God is awakening the Muslim world by his Spirit. Over the weekend, I read a companion book, David Garrison's A Wind in the House of Islam, how God is drawing Muslims around the world to faith in Jesus Christ. Garrison reinforces Tom's point by documenting statistically the fact that Muslim movements to Jesus are taking place in numbers we've never seen before. He reports on 9 different geographical regions in the Muslim world, identifying 82 movements to Christ in what appears to be a historic hinge moment in the spread of the gospel across the Muslim world. Just one example. Sheikh Hakim has memorized the Quran. He told Garrison if someone said that Jesus was God, we would kill him. When I was a Muslim, I burned churches for Islam. He was an overseer of 4 mosques and was training 300 Islamic leaders when an African evangelist gave him a New Testament in Arabic. That night, Jesus came to me in a dream, he says. He saw himself chopping down a mosque's minaret. When he told the evangelist, he explained to me, you're going to win many sheiks to the Lord. When Hakim came to faith in Christ, he lost his job and his farm. His father tried to murder him. Today he moves from town to town because there's always some trying to kill him. He's since led 400 Muslim sheiks to Christ, more than 300 of them who've already been baptized. I invite you to join me in 3 prayer requests today. First, ask God to give you his heart for our hurting world so that you can pray with passion and compassion. Second, pray each day during Ramadan for millions of Muslims to come to faith in Jesus and for God to protect Ukraine and end this war. And third, pray for the Spirit to move in power in our churches and our broken culture. We have never needed a spiritual awakening more than we need a transformative movement of God today. Martin Luther King was assassinated on this day in 1968. He died knowing that the movement for racial justice would lead ultimately to triumph. While we still have far to go, we can claim his testimony as our own today. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. That is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. Will you pray for the passion to speak unarmed truth and unconditional love today? Publication date, April 4th, 2022. So that was yesterday. Living in bizarro world, definition of woman stumps the Biden administration agencies. Biden began to obliterate sex as a distinct category immediately upon taking office when he signed Executive Order 13988 on preventing and combating discrimination on basis of so-called gender identity and sexual orientation. Biden administration agencies, including DOJ, HHS, HUD, and others, have announced that women no longer exist as a coherent category and as a matter of federal administrative law, says Kara Dansky, U.S. President of Women's Declaration International, to Fox News. The Biden administration doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman, or at least they refuse to give a definition. After Biden's Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson couldn't define what a woman is, Fox News reached out to several federal agencies to ask the same question. The Biden administration Department of Justice, Housing and Urban Development, and the Federal Bureau of Prisons all failed to give Fox News Digital a definition despite having programs specifically for women. The National Institute of Health directed them to a page of sex and gender that does not define woman and ultimately refuses to give a definition. The Bible tells us God created them male and female, and when he brought animals on the ark, he brought them male and female. The male and female of the unclean variety and the male and the female of the clean variety. There was 7 sets of the unclean, or there was 1 set of the unclean and 7 sets of the clean. And he kept saying male and female, and that kind after their kind, male and female. Sex refers to biological differences between male and female, including chromosomes, sex organs, hormonal profiles. Gender refers to socially constructed and enacted roles and behaviors which occur in historical and cultural context and vary across societies over time. All individuals act in many ways that fulfill gender expectations of their society. With continuous interaction between sex and gender, health is determined both by biology and expression of gender. Although the Department of Health and Human Services failed to define women, it did release a document on gender-affirming care in young people with treatments for transgender adolescents, including top surgery to create male typical chest shape or enhanced breasts, and bottom surgery on genitals or reproductive organs, facial feminization, and other procedures. The Biden administration is getting pushback for erasing gender on passports, adding X as a third option. We live in the politically correct cesspool, people. It's really bizarro world. Election Integrity Group flagged 64,000 suspicious voter registrations in North Carolina. North Carolina officials need to use this time they have to prepare voter rolls for the midterm elections. An Election Integrity Group has flagged more than 60,000 different voter registrations in North Carolina ahead of the 2022 midterms. The Public Interest Legal Foundation identified 7,933 dead North Carolinians still registered to vote long after death in 2020 and released the results in March 29 report. Time is quickly running out for North Carolina's voter registration rolls to be checked and cleaned before the midterms. All eyes are on an open U.S. Senate race amid the state's recent strong turnout and tight margins. And the analysis flagged 13,525 North Carolinians who managed to become registered twice in North Carolina under variations of their name. Hey, this stuff goes on every election. Every single election, there's dead people, there's illegal aliens, there's juveniles, there's, more than one voter registration for the quote-unquote snowbirds. Let me share that with my friend Christopher. All right. Let me close that. Here is Defeat the War in Your Stomach. Now, these kind of stories, I would like to know who. Top surgeon explains how. This doesn't say a whole lot, but we've been told our whole lives to eat certain fruits and vegetables and whole grains to stay in good health. However, according to Stephen Gundry, the world-renowned heart surgeon, many so-called health foods in American diet contain a dangerous toxin that could be expanding your waistline. The toxin caused micro tears to form in your fragile intestinal wall, allowing bacteria and waste to seep into your body. The harmful condition is best known as leaky gut, and it affects millions of people nationwide. Warning signs include weight gain, fatigue, digestive discomfort, stiff and achy joints, and even skin problems. Leaky gut side effects are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because leaky gut usually develops over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. But I can assure you the damage caused by these so-called health foods is far from normal. Now, it doesn't tell which foods is causing the leaky gut, but let me see if I can find leaky gut foods. Stay away from bread, pasta, cereals, wheat, flour, cuckoo, barley, rye, bulgur, oats, cold cuts, deli meats, bacon, hot dogs, baked goods, cakes, muffins, cookies, pastries, and pizza. Now, sometimes they'll tell you, stay away from avocados, stay away from nuts, stay away from you need to know who's sponsoring the study. Foods to eat to improve your digestive health: vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, arugula, carrots, kale, beetroot, Swiss chard, spinach, ginger, mushrooms, zucchini, potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, carrots, squash, turnips, kimchi, sauerkraut, coconut, grapes, bananas, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, kiwi, pineapple, oranges, mandarin, limes, lemon, passion fruit, papaya, chia seed, flax seed, sunflower seed, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, salmon, tuna, herring, lean cuts of chicken, beef, lamb, turkey, and eggs, all herbs and spices, yogurt, Greek yogurt, traditional buttermilk, beverages, bone broth, teas, coconut milk, nut milk, water, kombucha, raw nuts, peanuts, almonds, nut-based products such as nut milks. Here's foods to avoid: crackers, popcorn, pretzels, fast food, chips, sugary cereals, candy bars, milk, cheeses, ice cream. Don't eat none of that ice cream. Canola oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, safflower oils, artificial sweeteners, aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, salad dressing, soy teriyaki, alcohol, carbonated beverages, and other sugary drinks. Well, there's a good thing to stay away from as much as you can, and that's sugar. Here Monday, you can have a breakfast of a blueberry, banana, and Greek yogurt smoothie. Lunch, mixed green salad with sliced hard-boiled eggs, and dinner, beef and broccoli stir-fry with zucchini noodles and sauerkraut. Tuesday, you can have an omelet with veggies of your choice. For dinner, you can have seared salmon with fresh garden salad. Wednesday, smoothie, salmon, egg, and veggie frittata. Grilled lemon chicken salad with a side of sauerkraut. This is just an idea of some of the stuff. You can have coconut papaya chia pudding for breakfast. Other ways to improve your gut health: take a probiotic. Reduce stress, avoid smoking, sleep more, and limit alcohol intake. When my mom was on the antibiotics, I gave her a probiotic yogurt for a while to build back the healthy bacteria in the gut, because the antibiotics will kill not only bad bacteria, but it will kill good bacteria too. All right, so that's to defeat the war in the stomach and everyday Christians living out our everyday religion, which I'll probably have to share tomorrow. All right, so what's the message today? Eat right. That's the message for all time. Eat right. Hey, there's a message for all time. Eat right. You want to live longer, live healthier, live more vital for the Lord? Eat right. All right, so we will be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. So thanks for joining me today on our daily View from the Pew, heard every day, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. here at Jordan Crossing Church. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. Jill told her foster son up in Alaska, who recently passed away, and he was listening to the show before he passed. Word of mouth, spread it around. So this is Frank the Verse Thomas signing out here at
KPOG 102.9 FM, Grimes.